All right, it's my pleasure to have on this episode of Taking Notes with Dr. J, a brother whose acting I thoroughly enjoy. We were just talking before we got on the mics about how he embodies Atlanta, Georgia to me. When I think of Atlanta, I think of this brother because he represents it so hard. He is iconic, I would say, for his role as Hollywood on Queen Sugar, recently co-starring with Sebastian Maniscalco in The Bookie. He is the one and only Omar Dorsey. Welcome, brother. We're glad to have you on the show.
Thank you, Dr. John.
So
Thank you,
listen, I
brother.
wanted to
Appreciate
have
it,
you
man.
on
Thank
because you
you.
recently got an award. You were honored by the Lexus Uptown Honors with J. Alphonse Nicholson, Blair Underwood, Method Man. And I wanted to start there. What was that like to get an affirmation like that from the people at this time in your career?
You know, it's amazing, right? You go into this career, you just try to think about first, how can I get into projects and movies and TV shows, commercials or whatever, man. And then after that, you're thinking about like, well, how can I stop being a bartender and actually make a living doing this? And then, you start, when you quit that job and you're like, okay, I guess I'm a full-time actor. You don't really think about the accolades that come with it. I didn't really start thinking about any of that type of stuff until I started getting in films like The Blind Side and Selma and Django. I was like, oh, yes, you can do this and get awards. So, it feels really good when people, they give you the acknowledgement of the work that you've done. Because I try my best to put all that work, probably put my best foot forward every time I do it. And for people to really dig what, the work and the way that I reflect life, it makes me feel good, and the best part about it is that my mother was there with me when I got the award. She was my first acting teacher when I was a kid. When I was really young, she was teaching me. She was an acting coach. She was a director and a theater teacher at Henry County High School, and throughout the city of Atlanta, she was directing plays. So, for her to be there, my first teacher, everybody wants their teacher to be there when they get awards, and it happens to be that my mother, Dr. Naomi Dorsey, was my first teacher, and she was there, and it's just the legacy continues with me and with my daughter. So it feels great
100%.
to be
And it's
acknowledged.
funny you talk about your mother and the preparation because that was my next question is what do people who are looking to get into the business seriously and want to be prepared in the way that your mother prepared you need to understand about what that takes? Because I think we live in a time, and I'm an educator, I think young people look and feel like the path now is I'm going to get on these platforms that allow me to put myself out there, build a brand that way, and then I'm going to get on, but you've taken a different path. So what do people need to understand about your path versus kind of what is the popular normalized path now?
The normalized makes me laugh, right? I see it and I'm like, it's no disrespect to anybody, but it feels a bit microwaved because I feel like you have to have some kind of roots, you have to have a base, you have to have a foundation. And my foundation is the craft at all times. At all times, I preach it. I'm almost 50 years old. I've been preaching the craft for 45 years now, ever since my mother sat me down. And even when I went to performing art high school, I went to college and grad school and all of that, man, it's always about learning the craft of acting and of storytelling. It's funny because me and NK just did this thing for Warner Brothers a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about storytelling. And she was talking about how she, her whole thing was always storytelling, storytelling. Even when she was in the 9 to 5 world, she always was writing stories, and that's me. I was always telling stories. It just so happened that I'm the one who's orating the story. I'm not writing them down. But yeah, that craft is what it is. You have to have that foundation. If not, you have nothing to fall back on. And if you don't have the craft, when you get on set with other people who have the craft, they will run circles around you. It will be extremely obvious that like you're not prepared and it's like, you're not ready. But it's okay because look, even my first movie, I thought I was horrible in it. It was Road Trip 1999. It's a cult classic. And I thought I was horrible, but I was young. I was 21, 22 or something like that, right? Or maybe 23. But I was still in grad school. So I was still learning. But if you have some kind of foundation, then you know where to go with it. Even if it's a theater foundation and you're trying to get into film and television, you know about acting, and that's what it's all about. It's really about acting. If you want to be an actor, or if you want to be a comedian, get those hours in on stage. That's my main thing. It's funny, man. Like, somebody hit me up today, and I don't want to call nobody out, but they were like, "Hey, man, can you I just got some headshots done. Can you send them to your agent?" I was like, "What? Like, bro, you ain't acted in 20 years. What are you talking about?"
Right.
I like, do you know who my agent is?
Right.
Do you know how hard it was for me to get over there? I had to be a series regular for 12, 13 years before they even looked at me. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, you can try your best. But yeah, man, it's just that, and people got to have respect for it too, man. That's my main thing about a doc. It's like people don't have respect. They just think they can just jump in and like, hey, I'm gonna try to jump in. I did a couple of skits. I think I'm ready to have my own TV show on HBO.
I'm gonna ask you this because I've never talked to you about it before. I know you've addressed it before, but I'm curious. I'm gonna try and couch it in a different way. Do you think that respect for the storytelling mixed with the craft kind of creates that difference between what we see in kind of British Black people getting these roles versus African Americans? There's always this discussion that happens now about why is that happening? Why do we see Idris Elba come over get roles? Why do we see Damson Idris come over get roles? Why do we see Daniel Ezra, from All American? Where do you think,
Right.
when it comes to those who make decisions? That's how I couch it. For those who make the decisions, where's that difference?
So yeah. Well, I think they might be cheaper. Originally, I think they might be cheaper, right? But then they get Idris, and then they become Damson. I'll tell you this, man. For Snowfall, I was testing all of the young actors who came in and read for Franklin. So I was playing Uncle for Damson, for Kofi, for Astro, and for my boy Dayron, who plays in who was in
Yes.
Dear White People TV show. Amazing actor. I tested all those cats, right? And and truthfully speaking, Damson, Kofi, and Dayron came in, and I was like, either one of these three dudes could get it. And even knowing that Damson was British, it didn't, because I was there at the audition process, and I was there. Listen, man, John Singleton told me straight up. He was like, "Yo, Omar, I want you to bully these dudes. You're their boot camp." You know what I'm saying? So I was the boot camp for them. And Damson came in and killed it. Kofi came in and killed it. And Dayron came in and killed it. So it was I didn't know who was going to be between Kofi and Damson, because I knew they wanted a dark skinned, bigger type statue dude. So Dayron probably didn't fit it, even though he probably was the best actor. But Damson, man, I'm glad that Damson got it, because Kofi was able to work with me for 7 years on Queen Sugar. You know what I'm saying? And it made him into a star too. But man, like, that role specifically, I didn't have a problem with it. I don't really have a problem with British actors as it is. I think that a lot of times the ones who come over here have studied at BADA or RADA, or they done plays at the Globe and done plays at the Young Vic, or all these different places, right? So they might have that foundation coming in, right? Now, I too have studied all those places. Not all those places. My daughter studied at BADA. I studied in Japan. I studied in South Africa. I studied in Amsterdam. So I understand, like, you come in with the craft, you come in like that way, and especially when you're that young coming in, and people are like, "Oh, where did that come from?" But there are a lot of American actors who do the same thing. Trust me, I'm at Juilliard at least 2 or 3 times a year. One of my great friends, Derek Sanders, is over there in the theater department. So, I'll go over there and try to talk to the young brothers and sisters, give them a lot of, uplifting, words, so that they can do it. I do that. Another one of my friends, Justin Ellington, is over there at Yale. So I try my best to talk to all the young students who are in there, especially people who look like me, specifically, so yeah, I think that, and sometimes when you come in with that RADA or BADA on your resume, and you're like, "Oh God, this is somebody who's totally different." and might be a little bit more pleasant. I don't know, because
Listen, I
we got
ultimately
that
think
thing on us sometimes.
it's a conversation meant to divide us, as many conversations do. I think you root for all folks in the diaspora, just like
Right.
folks can come over here and kill it. I feel like we go over there.
Yeah.
I've seen many American actors go over to London and do Cat in a Hot Tin Roof. Exactly.
Listen, bro, Clark Peter's been over there for like 30 years, man. And I remember when we were doing Harriet, he was like, Omar, you need to come on out here. And I was really about to move out there too. And then 2020 hit and COVID hit. I was gonna move out there. I told him. I said I was coming out there. I told I know Wendell Pierce was out there doing he was doing, what show was he doing? A Death of a Salesman at the Young Vic. And the artistic director over there directed me in a play in Atlanta years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And I told him, I said, I'm thinking about coming out here, I love acting so much. I just gonna come out there. This is before I got married to Crystal. It might have been before I met Crystal. And I was like, yo, I really think I'm gonna come out here and and just try my, try to get some work out here. Not even
Right.
to work out here. I just want to work with the actors there. I want to do more Shakespeare, and it's really hard to do it out here. But it's like they do it every other week in London. So I
Yeah,
really was
and
about to
that's the
go out there
thing
for
I
real.
find, in my world of education, certainly in your world, if you've got it and you love it, then there are plenty of opportunities to explore it. And I think, this is why one of the reasons I want to have you on, because you have had all these experiences. You are not somebody who has made America a fortress that can't be, you know, you've been willing
Right?
to go outside of that.
You can't. Mm-mm. You can't. You can't. So during COVID, I went to Kenya, right, with a couple of my best friends, and we were like, our eyes and brains were just so open, not thinking that like, like there's nothing but America,
100%.
but we were like, there's money here too. And we sat and spoke with the people from it was me and Captain America, me and my best friend Anthony Mackie. You know what I'm saying? We sat with the film commission out there in Kenya. And we were like, man, they were like, you need to bring projects out here. Do you know how many people are on the continent? We were like, of course we do. But then it clicked in us. We were like, we need to do some work out here, man. You know what I'm saying? And there's some great actors out there, some great writers, and some amazing studios out there, specifically in South Africa, man. And I know there's some in Nigeria too. Kenya's trying to build up right now. So yeah, we talked to the film commission out there. We talked to a lot of people out there, the cultural attaches out there. So yeah, there, like you said, like even in Europe, I come from. I did this program called From the A to the A when I was 19 years old. It was actors from Atlanta going to Amsterdam. Actors from Amsterdam coming to Atlanta. I did it for like a summer. And bro, when I tell you, that opened up my whole perspective on life. That's when I was like, oh, it's not just the fortress of America, right? It's not just this, man. So, and that's another reason that a lot of the European actors and the Black Brits come over here, because it's like their perspective is a little bit wider. They come over here and succeed,
No, I
So I'm
tell
not
people all
mad
the
at them
time
at
it's
all.
one of the
Trust me.
things that ultimately allowed for Nkechi to stick out. She did have this very unique global
Mm-hmm.
perspective that, yes, while very foundationally Nigerian, has all of these other hints to it that when she puts pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, you're going to get something that you
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen before, because her perspective has so much color in it. So, and that's ultimately for me, I
Exactly.
think is the answer for all of us, is that we have to continue to find those ways to broaden our worldview so we can connect better, live better, the whole thing. But I want to close you out on this because you mentioned your man
Yeah.
Mackie. And so one of the other reasons I wanted to have you on is because I saw how you and the village wrapped your arms around Mackie at the premiere of Captain America and celebrated that man, because there's a lot of pressure to hold up, the Marvel
Yes.
Universe as number one on the call sheet. So I just wanted to
Yes.
have you close out talking about
Right.
what that moment meant for not only you but him, y'all crew, which I had the pleasure to be adjacent to for a good minute now. What that meant for y'all.
Right. Man, I tell you, it's like I just remember the first day I met Mackie. It might have been like 25 years ago, right? I just got finished doing my first movie. I did Road Trip. It was 26 years ago. And me, him, Dorian Missick, and Eugene Bird were like, listen, man, we're going to be the biggest stars in the world. Is that the other? One day we're going to do this, that, the other. And all of us in our own way, we've been busting the whole game open. But for our brother to be the number one star in the world for however many weeks that was, yo, it just felt like the Super Bowl. It was like we made it. We made it
100%.
as a collective. Our crew has made it. You know, we talk to each other every day, all day. We got group chats, individual texts, and all of this stuff, man. But like for us to be there to celebrate that moment, man, it was glorious, John. I tell you, man. Like, and this is when you know it's like it's a real true brotherhood. It's nothing like there's no jealousy in our crew at all. There's no anything. When I got my award, everybody was there. You know what I'm saying? When Mackie had his you know, when Mackie got you know the premiere, we made a point to be there. And it was so dope that the cameras caught him on the red carpet and them walking over and seeing the whole crew there, D-Nice, and everybody was in there. You know, man, it was just beautiful. Yeah, man, it's just like it was one of those moments, you know, because ever since he got the Captain America Part 2, was it the Winter Soldier, I believe it was. He was like, man, one day I'm gonna have my own movie. It's gonna be on my back one day, and that day was that day, man. That was the day, and we were like, we here. Now it's time to keep going forward. You know what I'm saying? Keep pushing,
100%.
man.
And as
Yeah,
a black man, it was just good to see
Yeah.
a bunch of brothers having that moment to celebrate each other and showing joy when oftentimes, you know, we're expected to be so cool, and y'all were not trying to be too cool. It was like, no, we celebrating this because, like you said, this is our Super Bowl.
Yeah, no doubt. We celebrated all day. I celebrated a little bit too much. It took me 2 days. I can't recover like I used to, bro. I was like, man, I don't drink like this no more.
Last quick question for you. Who have you not worked with yet that you want to? Manifest it.
There's a few people, man. You know who I was supposed to do a play with on Broadway, and you know, he's one of the most talented actors in the world. But he had a little speed bump a couple years ago. But man, we was in rehearsals for this show, and I've never seen any young actor just mollywop me on a daily basis in rehearsals. It's brother Jonathan Majors, man. He's one of the most talented dudes, and he only scratched the surface. Y'all didn't see nothing, man. Y'all saw nothing from Kang and all of that stuff. And hopefully he's passed, you know, whatever transgressions that may have fallen upon him, man. I hope he has. Magazine Dreams is coming out. I would love to work with, let me see what directors who I want to work with, man. Shoot, I don't work with all of them. Let me see. I want to work with Steven Spielberg, for sure. Spike Lee. He's one of the reasons that I'm, you know, in the game for sure. And I want to work with Denzel. I auditioned for Denzel one time. I never worked with him though, but you know, I work with a whole lot of people, man. You know, and I want to work with NK if she ever give me a role on one of her TV shows. Oh yeah, she keep hiring my wife though, so you know we keep it in the family.
You're only one step away.
My wife keep on directing all the shows, so
it's coming. It's coming, brother. I appreciate you, and I thank you again for your time. We'll catch up soon. Talk to you.
All right, Doc. All right, peace.